I think his name is Ryder. Which isn't Ryder the name of the guy that Tori Vega wrote Begging on Your Knees about because he cheated on her? Wasn't his name like Ryder Flynn or something? Or is it just because he looks like Flynn from Tangled? I'm jumping through way too many hoops. Anyway. Okay, welcome to this video. Also, I want to show off my new bedding, so my hair is bothering me this video. Anyway, I have my laptop with me. We're gonna do a tier ranking video. Obviously, we're gonna be tier ranking all of the popular TikTok romance books that I've read. I've only really started reading romance this past year, and so I feel like all the romance books that I have read are basically the ones that have been recommended by my favorite romance booktubers and by Book Talk. I feel like the only ones that I've read are like the very most popular ones. I've tier ranked every Book Talk book that I've read a long time ago. I actually need to update that. This version is limited to just the romance books that I've read, including DNFs and stuff like that. These are all of the romance books that I've read. Like I said, I'm new, not a veteran at all. Let me introduce all my tiers. The top tier, obviously, knees weak, palms sweaty, mom spaghetti tier. I feel like that's pretty self-explanatory. Had me feeling some type of way, had me sweating in a chokehold. Okay, next tier, I liked it. I enjoyed them. Not my god tier top favorites, but the ones that I'm like, yep, these are good. With the space exclamation mark, my friend always says that. Next tier is going to be like the neutral tier. I don't really feel any type of way about you. It's giving Wonder Bread. I didn't like love it. Didn't see anything like glaringly wrong about it. Next is POV the letter after X. Oh, people didn't get this when I used this in like one of my other tier ranking videos. POV the letter after X is why? This one is the ones that I didn't like. And I actually feel like there's probably not going to be too many of these because if I don't like a book, for the most part, I just won't finish it. I have no problem with DNFing books. And then the last tier is DNF'd, so did not finish. I'm sure that there are more books that I didn't include here that I DNF'd. I just can't remember because I DNF books left and right. I do it like it's my job. If I'm like not feeling it like the first 2 chapters, like I just won't finish it. That's youngest child syndrome, giving up on things when you like are not enjoying it. I don't know why all these are in like a weird order, so let me reorganize these first. Okay, yeah, I just am remembering now more books that I started and like DNF'd that I didn't include here. Maybe I'll mention them if I recall them. The first one is People We Meet on Vacation by Emily Henry. I started with this one first because this is genuinely the first romance book, like the first adult romance book I think I've ever read. And this is the book that made me want to read more romance books. So we all have Alex and Poppy to thank. Because of that, we're starting off strong, knees weak, palms sweaty, mom spaghetti. To this day, probably like one of my favorite romances. This book was good. This book was good. Everyone must be sick of me saying this, but I genuinely think that I have like the perfect fan cast. I put this on my Instagram story, but I was like, I don't know what ladder I have to climb, social climb for one, in order to become like a casting director. Genuinely, I'm like, this is where my passion lies. Because listen, People Meet on Vacation, Emma Roberts, Luke Bracey. If you don't believe me, just go watch the Netflix holiday movie. Holiday? Is it called The Holiday? No, actually tell me how I can like weasel my way into the film industry to become a casting director. Casting like actually makes or breaks a movie. Just look at the Summer I Turned Pretty. Like when our grade 1 to primary school teacher said make a difference, this is what they meant. Okay, anyway. Okay, yeah, the other DNF that I was gonna mention is that I tried reading Beach Read by Emily Henry. I DNF'd it a good way through too, like halfway through or something. So I just imagine that that is going into the DNF. Next is The Problem with Forever by Jennifer L. Armentrout. I'm gonna say that I liked it. It's another childhood friends to lovers. I think I just loved how protective the main guy was over the girl. And I like that we didn't get his perspective. Yeah, I don't know if that's an unpopular opinion. Like I don't really like dual POV romance books. I think that it's different if it's like single POV and then like as a treat we get like 1 or 2 chapters or whatever from the other person's POV, because then it's like a treat. It's like special, like we needed to like beg at the author's feet for it. But dual POV, I don't think I vibe with that as much because it loses a bit of the mystery, and I think part of the fun is like that you don't know what's going on through the other person's head, so it could be anything. Like, so you can kind of make it up. I think that that's what I liked about The Problem with Forever. I think his name is Ryder. Which isn't Ryder the name of the guy that Tori Vega wrote Begging on Your Knees about because he cheated on her? Wasn't his name like Ryder Flynn or something? Or is it just because he looks like Flynn from Tangled? I'm jumping through way too many hoops. Anyway, let's move on. Okay, next are all my clean books. Reminders of Him. I wish that there was a tier between Knees Weak and I Liked It. That's so hard. Because I'm looking down the list of clean books and I know which one is Knees Weak. I'm just gonna put it in. It Ends With Us. I loved It Ends With Us. It was like my first clean book that I read. My favorite one to this day that I read. My best friend just finished reading it because I made her read it and I made her update me about everything that happened. Guys, on another note though, you know like Elle's like word association challenge? Yeah, if there was like a prize for that, I think that I would actually be like Elon Musk. Anything, I'll sing a song about it. Yeah, It Ends With Us. On my Instagram Explore, I keep seeing reels and I don't know who's trying to ruin my day / make it the best day of my life. All these reels about Atlas Corrigan, every single time that I see it, I genuinely am like, I guess it's time to drop everything and give It Ends With Us a reread. But just the Atlas parts. Oh my gosh, I am so excited for It Starts With Us. I keep thinking about it, I can't think about it. Next. Hopeless. I'm gonna put it in It's Giving Wonder Bread because I think that the plot was really interesting and intriguing, like the plot twist and everything. That was the reason why I kept reading this book. On the negative, didn't love the main guy character. He was giving walking red flag. I get like secondhand embarrassment like you wouldn't believe. I'm so sensitive to when I read books. It just gives me the ick. Like low-key, he gave me the ick. Heartbones, I liked it. Oh my gosh, like I said, Recipe for Success, it's like single POV, the girl's POV, and you don't get the guy's POV. Like you just don't know what's going on in his head, and that is the entire plot twist, and I enjoyed the plot twist. The meet cute always like sets the scene for me, and I loved the meet cute in this book. I'm not gonna say here because I feel like it will low-key set feminism back like 20 years. Yeah, you're gonna have to just figure it out. Okay, maybe someday it's going into POV, the letter after X. Oh my gosh, look at the breadth. Look at her versatility across the spectrum. Maybe someday it's like the clean book that I genuinely didn't like because there's cheating. There's like cheating that happens and I'm sorry that I can't love a cheater. Can't do it, I'm so sorry. Also, there are things in here that also gave me secondhand embarrassment and the ick like you would not believe. I was just, every time I got to a chapter and I knew that this one thing was gonna happen, I genuinely like skipped the chapters. I did it because he has a girlfriend. Reminder. Oh, that's so hard. I want to be generous. Don't say I never did anything for you. Mom sweaty, mom spaghetti. I think because this book was less about the relationship for me. It was more genuinely because it was just a really good book and a really good story written really, really well. It's super emotional. I think just for the storyline, this was really good. Like the mom is out of prison and like comes looking for her daughter. Everyone is stuck between a rock and a hard place, especially the guy. Oh my god. I actually felt so bad for him. Like he's in the worst position literally ever. I felt so bad for him. I'm like, ooh. Oh, I felt really, really bad for him. Next, we're gonna go on to the Addicted Calloway Sister series by Krista and Becca Ritchie, which I also started reading this year, I'm pretty sure. I read the first 5 books only, so up to Hot House Flower. And I feel very differently about every single one of these books, so this should be interesting. So first, of course, the original, Addicted to You. I'm so addicted to you too. Feels like time to rewatch season 1 of The Next Step. Oh my gosh, if you were like a middle school Next Step girly, like hit my line. See, that's what I'm saying, L Song Association. How do I become a casting director? Someone tell me! Okay, so the first one is focused on Lily and Lo, obviously. I still love all of them, obviously, but they're the ones that I think I care the least about or like attached to the least. I'm going to say that It's Giving Wonder Bread because this is also fake dating, my least favorite trope. Yeah, I read this book because, you know, you have to to get into the first series. The best part about this book was meeting Reich. Meeting Reich and Connor. Yeah. Ricochet. Ricochet was the start of Reich and Daisy. Someone said in my last video that I rated this a 3 on Goodreads, but I said that it was a 5-star, one of my favorite books in my last video, which is true. This is why you can't trust anything that I do on Goodreads. At the time when I read this book, I didn't know how much I would like Daisy and Reich, and then now I repeatedly go back and reread just the Daisy and Reich first meeting, and that in itself is enough to be a 5-star for me. I just love Daisy and Reich so much. Like, genuinely, I love them more than life. I love them so much. Meet cute is so important. So important. Cannot stress it enough. Now, Addicted for now. I'm gonna say It's Giving Wonder Bread because again, we go back to Lily and Lo. I feel like this book had like the most important plot developments that happened that concern all the core 6. But in general, it was like a filler book that I needed to read to get to the Calloway Sister series. Kiss the Sky, which is the first Rose and Connor book. I think that the plot was actually the weakest part. Kind of out of pocket, if you know what I'm talking about. What the heck was going on with Scott? But I like Connor and Rose because they're academic rivals to lovers. The only thing is that we don't really get to see them before they become lovers, but we get like one chapter in the beginning that's a flashback to before they were lovers and they were academic rivals. And that in itself, I swear to God that one chapter is like 5 stars for me. Like my favorite chapter of like all of the series, I swear. Hot House Flower, I feel like people would expect it to be a newsweek Palm Sweaty Mom Spaghetti because obviously I love Racy. But actually it's going into I liked it. And the reason would make not a lot of sense unless you know me, and then it makes all the sense in the world, which is that they actually get together in the middle of this book. So that's why I didn't like it as much. No more questions. Next, Taylor Jenkins Reid. Oh my gosh, I literally forgot to add her other one. Okay, for the record, maybe in another life would be It's Giving Wonder Bread. But One True Loves, I loved. Newsweek, Palm Sweaty, Mom Spaghetti. Probably one of my favorite books that I've read, simply because it's written so well. And I just think that this book was randomly really up my alley because of like the themes. Oh my gosh, another DNF that I should have had on here is the soulmate equation. It's fake dating and I don't like fake dating, so I just immediately DNF'd it. I also don't think that I'm the biggest fan of Christina Lauren's writing. I read these two books, which were her two childhood friends to lovers books, obviously. Josh and Hazel's Guide to Not Dating. I liked it because Josh is the most perfect man ever, and he's Asian, which in hindsight, I like don't know how I feel about like why authors writing like Asian characters. Don't know how I feel about that. I just watched Bookish Realm's like discussion video about it. I would recommend that you go watch that. Next, Love in Other Words. I am putting this also in. I liked it. Yeah, I loved Elliot, like the guy. I loved him so much. It's always the girl character that I feel like is done dirty with the writing. Low-key also when I was reading this, I'm like, oh, you're just being a problematic teenager and all of us were problematic teenagers. So yeah. Next, Every Summer After by Carly Fortune. The next like Love in Other Words type book that like had a lot of hype. Again, I loved Sam. Their friendship was so cute. It has a little bit of The Summer I Turned Pretty because there's like a brother in the picture and then it creates kind of a love triangle. I think the part that I didn't like about this book was the plot twist at the end. I saw it coming and I was like, this better not be what I think that it is. So I'm gonna say I liked it because I loved everything up until that part. The hating game, I'm putting into... this is out of pocket. I'm putting it to Newsweek, Palm Sweaty, Mom Spaghetti, and the reason for that is because I watched the movie. It made me like the book 10 times better because of Austin Stowell. He's the reason why I love Josh Templeman, is that what his name is? Everything else about this book was like mediocre to me, but like a character will do it for me. Like I just need a good character, you know what I mean? Like if I'm attached to the character, like it's game over. So yeah, especially if he looks like Austin Stowell. Do you know that scene where she's like sick with a fever or whatever and he's taking care of her? He's in her apartment and he's going through her living room and like looking at all her little Smurf collection. He's just being so soft, looking at everything. He's like smiling to himself because like no one else is there and he like never... My palms are sweaty. Bras too tight. Next, The Song of Achilles. I know some people are diehard fans of this book, so like I get it. But I'm still putting it in my neutral tier. I'm putting it in It's Giving Wonder Bread. But I'm like not gonna explain myself because I feel like you can watch a video about book talk books that I thought were mid. I like thoroughly explained all the books in that video. It was just okay to me. Next is The Summer I Turned Pretty series by Jenny Han. Obviously, this is all the rage because of the TV show. Just think if they took their music budget and then just fed the world, we would have world peace. I do feel differently about all three books. For the first one, I would say I liked it. Second one, It's Giving Wonder Bread. And then the third one is in Newsweek, Palm Sweaty, Mom Spaghetti. This is directly correlated to how prevalent Conrad Fisher is in each of these books. So yeah. Next, Before We Were Strangers. Oh, this is one where also I wish there was a tier between I liked it and It's Giving Wonder Bread. I'm gonna put it in It's Giving Wonder Bread because unless it's like for this specific trope, I don't think that it would come to my mind to recommend to someone. And I wasn't attached to either of the characters, I don't think. Like for the most part for romances, if I just like the main guy, then I will like the book. I didn't in this book, so I think that's why I'm gonna put it in It's Giving Wonder Bread. Okay, next, From Lukov with Love. I would say that the plot was Wonder Bread, but I liked it because I love Ivan Lukov. Such a good example of literally exactly what I just said. Absolutely revolted by the fact that Ivan Lukov will never come give me a Hershey kiss when I'm in the middle of an ice rink having a breakdown. That's so disgusting. Okay, the last two books I put here because they were the only ones I could remember DNFing, but literally just listed like many other books up to this point that I also DNF'd, and there's a million% more than just that too. But these are the ones that I could just remember. So the first is Brightside by Kim Holden. I actually want to give this book another shot one day in the future if I get more used to reading romance books. I think that I like picked this up before I realized that like most romance books are really like slice of life, like super slice of life, and I just got bored, and I still get bored a little bit. So that's why I DNF'd it. Like I know that there's a plot twist, like when you uncover like the trauma behind all the characters. I want to know what the story is. Yeah, a lot of romance books I've realized are like very slice of life. If I like don't care about the life, then I will like get bored. Next is Things We Never Got Over by Lucy Score, which was the more recent one. I'm trying to see if I can finish it because I feel like if I had that ish in doses, I feel like I might be able to get through it. The reason is that I've like been trying to like change like certain aspects just in my mind about like the main guy character. I feel like I only have the stamina to do it in doses, which is why I think that I need to like just do it slowly, because I realized that I don't love like the super hyper masculine guy character. Like her nickname for him is like Viking, and he's like super grumpy and like very overprotective. I don't know, I think like that combination of things, like I realized I don't like it. It gives me the ick. There's nowhere else to explain it. Like it gives me the ick. Like I don't know, I don't really like it. In the same way that I like don't like gym bros, like in real life, like that's not really my type. So yeah, I don't like it. I'm like, oh, you're doing a bit too much. You're doing a bit too much there, buddy. That is everything. Wow, this is like such an ugly tier rank. I wish From Lukov was somewhere else. This would be so much less ugly. That brings us to the end of this video. So that is gonna be all for this video. Thanks so much for watching. I love making tier rank videos. I think they're so fun. I have another one that I want to do, which is all of the fantasy series that I've read. It's gonna be such a monster. I also need to like do an updated book talk one. Like there's just a lot. Yeah, I just love doing it. Let me know your thoughts about all the books that I talked about, where you would rank them, whether you agree or disagree. I don't mind people disagreeing, by the way. Like it's all good, I promise. Be sure to subscribe down below if you haven't already. Go follow me on all my socials. They're all linked in the description. I'll see you all in the next one. Goodbye. Here's my tiers. Here's the final product. My laptop case so broken. I need to get a new one. Bye.
You're so pretty, just need a little more sweet.